Yeah, you're supposed to push record. Welcome to Dirty Thursday, brought to you by River City Speedway. I did hit record now, by the way. Along with my guest, Stephen Lewis, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Tom Corcoran. So I've been calling you all the last couple of days, by the way. Our show today brought to you by Executive Properties. Are you still putting off that project around the house that's been bugging you forever? Do you think you can wait until spring and call a contractor and have the work done ASAP? Well, good luck with that. Executive Properties has openings right now to get that project done. In fact, you can check out their Google reviews. Aaron says Chris and his team did a spectacular job on the damage to my aunt's garage and siding. Kept us up to date on the progress, and the finished product was amazing. Thank you for your professionalism and hard work. Hey, get that project done sooner than later. Call Executive Properties, 701-330-1273. And by the way, Executive Properties is now taking reservations for snow removal. Give them a call, all right? Speaking about giving a call, if you would like to call or text any comments or questions, feel free. Our number here at the studios at Grand Forks Best Source, 701-213-0863, 701-213-0863. Let's do it. Let's get it out of the way. It's our daily segment called Jokes My Neighbor Tells Me. See what you think of this one. Jokes My Neighbor Tells Me. You know, Hamburger Helper only works if the hamburger is ready to accept that it needs help.
Well, like they said in the old Vacation movie, it does just fine all by itself.
Yeah,
So
need an intervention. Stephen, how you doing?
good, are you?
Good. You've been busier than a one-legged field goal kicker, huh?
Yep.
Getting ready for the Gateway Dirt Nationals. We're getting cars ready for that, or getting cars ready for next year, or what are you busy with?
Both. Last one of 25 went out before Cole's did, and Cole's already in St. Louis and all that. So that'll be fun to watch. He goes tomorrow, so does Amelia, and yeah. So
have you ever been to the Nationals there?
No.
Oh, I think that'd be fun. I've never been to an indoor race, but I think that'd be pretty cool.
Same.
Yeah. We should probably welcome this guy, huh?
I think so.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Doing well.
Doing well. I've been thinking about you ever since we had our last talk, and I think, was it at the racetrack we talked last? I can't remember.
Actually, a little bit at the banquet.
Okay, that's what it was, at the banquet. I forgot about that. And what what really got me to want you back on the show, because it's been a while, was the comment that you made. Because every year now, for the last how many years, like 15 or 20, I said, "You going to go another year?" And you go, "Well, we'll see." And you going to retire? Nah, I don't know. We'll maybe go another one. And then I asked you, I said, when you retire, will you still spectate? Will you be here? And you kind of said probably not. And I get that, but I know I was bummed because, there's, to me, and not everybody feels this way, but to me there's more than just watching the T1 out there. It's the guy in the T1. And I've kind of felt bad about it, but it's kind of like, and it's not even it's like apples to oranges, but when I quit playing softball, I stayed away. I mean, I just stayed away because I knew I was going to miss it too bad, and I was just going to get the itch. And I went back after a couple years, and by then I didn't really miss it. But do you still feel that way?
Well, I think when I'm done, immediately I'm going to have to stay away for a while. Mm-hmm. I really don't have anything against maybe helping somebody out throughout the week.
Right, and
But not going to the racetrack, that's probably going to be something I'll do for quite a while. So it's just too hard to be there when you're not in the car.
Sure. Do you don't have a problem mentoring or being that teacher?
Well, no. I guess so many of these younger guys you see come in today just have so little mechanical ability.
Yeah.
In comparison to the guys that I grew up with.
Right.
And I think they're sadly lacking in that. And that's an area that it could be helped. And
the thing is too, back in the day, it was you worried about basically fuel and spark and setup, and now with today's cars and everything, they're a lot more complicated. But the race cars still, you don't have the bypasses and the relays and all that stuff like you do in a car you buy out of the Rydell or whatever. But are they that much harder to work on than they were, say, 20 years ago?
Well, as far as mechanically, not so much, but what's happened is racing's gotten so technical. Mm-hmm. Between suspensions and things like that, it's just probably one of the things that will drive me out of the sport is the fact that without enough physical help, it's just about impossible to stay on top of it.
Yeah, because I mean, I know you hardly have room in your shop for all the help you have, right?
Yeah.
I mean, basically, you're a one-man show.
Yeah. Yeah. About 98% of the time.
Wow. And the other 2%, who do you get to help?
Well, I've got guys that have helped me throughout the years that'll come back and, if I'm in a bind
Sure,
and give
sure.
me a hand. So,
Okay.
But as far as at the racetrack, it's me.
Oh, yeah. I kind of jumped way ahead here on this whole deal. I'm going to go back to the beginning of my list. First off, how are you? How was your Thanksgiving? I know you post a lot on social media about grandkids and things, and I'm starting to do more and more of that. But how's life for Tom Corcoran, Ben?
Well, not bad. I mean, I've been busy. Went back to work a little bit here in November.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout Thanksgiving, I actually was working for the school district in East Grand Forks between moving some snow and some boiler checks.
Okay.
So I stayed busy with that. And outside of that, I try to get up in the morning and 3-4 days a week go out and walk.
Yeah,
and,
I know you walk a lot.
Yeah, so...
How many deer you see when you're walking on the Greenway like that?
It's crazy. Some days you'll see half a dozen, and
Yeah.
other days you'll see nothing.
Wow, wow. People don't realize the critters you'll see on the Greenway. I'm on the river enough, so I get to see, and I try to explain to people the different wildlife that you'll see right in city limits, and they don't believe you. They can't be that much. Tell us about your grandkids. How many do you have now?
Well, I've got 3. I've got 2 on the East Coast over in New Hampshire, and 1 down in Alexandria, Minnesota. So ranging in age, let's see, we're 12, and youngest one just turned 6.
Wow. So. Yeah, my youngest one just turned 3 the day after Thanksgiving, so little sports nut. I mean, I got him a Minnesota Wild jersey. I got a Minnesota Vikings string lights for his room and baseball gear. You should see him. He'll wear sweatpants and he'll put a pair of shorts on over his sweatpants, thinking they're breezers, for hockey, like hockey. But the thing is, he's just to the age now where he's starting to talk a lot, trying to string sentences together. But if we're watching a game and the anthem comes on, everything stops, hand on the heart, and he doesn't say a word till that anthem's done. So I got to give him kudos for that.
Perfect.
Brought up the right way.
You bet.
You talked about you retired pretty much now. You're still doing a little bit, but you work for the school district is that what you did for your main career?
Yeah, I did. I did just shy of 30 years.
Wow, just shy of 30 years. How'd you get involved with that? What'd you do before that? Or is that just what you've done?
Well, I worked in the amusement business for quite a few years. And then actually the last company I worked for was based out of the building here.
Oh, okay.
And after that was sold, I didn't go with the business. So I went into the upholstery repair business, which led me to upholstery, which was either feast or famine.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was doing a little part-time bus driving for the school district.
Okay.
And shortly after that, I went to work full-time for them.
Wow. When you had to start picking up extra jobs on the side, did that ever make you think about not racing anymore? Because I'm guessing that's one of the main reasons why you did it.
Well, I mean, lots of things make me think about not racing anymore. But no, that wasn't such a big deal. I've been fortunate, in the fact that all the jobs that I've worked have been flexible enough that I could keep racing.
Sure. Eric Larson, good morning. Travis Strandell, good morning, fellas. Nick Curtis, good morning, all. Good morning, everybody. And again, feel free to call or text. You got anything?
Not quite yet. Well, we can keep rolling with what you got.
Okay. Now, the name Corcoran has been around River City Speedway, local racetracks for a long time. For people that aren't familiar with you, Tom, tell us, how did you get your start racing?
Well, of course, it's a long family line. Most of my uncles raced at one time or another, and of course, my Uncle Jim promoted the racetrack here for many years, along with many other racetracks throughout the area. So, but, my dad raced. My Uncle Larry, of course, raced. My Uncle Harold raced. I actually started working at the racetrack at about 12 years old.
Yeah.
Working with my grandparents, cleaning bleachers and grandstands on Saturday mornings.
Wow.
And that led to working for Uncle Jim with doing some track prep and a little bit of minor construction and that kind of thing. And at 15, I decided it was time I wanted to race a car.
Did you buy a car or get a car that was already race ready, or did you build your first car?
Well, the original race car, which I don't think I put a picture of, was a 61 Plymouth 4-door hardtop.
Okay.
Kind of a turquoise-colored car. And that car and a 57 Plymouth wagon were leftovers from the Trans-Canada Hell Drivers show that used to be here every summer.
Yep.
And the wagon had a good motor in it, and the other car had a 6-cylinder in it. So we pulled the motor out of one, put it into the other, and it was pretty crude. So
Now, did you kind of learn on the fly or just pick these things up as you're growing up? Or it's just like, well, here's a motor in this car. I want it in this car. Let's just figure out how to do it.
well, I mean, growing up, my dad tried to teach me as much as possible, but there came a point in time, he said, there's a toolbox, have at it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, and that's how I picked it up.
Wow, wow. Any idea how many wins you've had?
Well, we're closing on 240, but
Wow.
locally, I think we're only at River City's probably only at about 50, but you got to keep in mind that I had about 8 years where I didn't race here full time. So.
Okay, sure. And that's funny when you say, well, River City is probably only about 50. Probably only about 50.
That's a pretty big milestone these days.
Yeah,
Dustin just got there, I think.
No kidding.
So.
Let's go through a couple of pictures now, and you can just kind of explain, Tom, what some of these are, if you would.
That's my second race car. That actually came from Stephen's grandfather. That's a 61 Plymouth 2-door hardtop that it died behind the original broken drum that was in the parking lot of the Home of Economy.
No kidding.
And my friend Roger Cernsky and I hooked onto it with a chain and pulled it back home.
Jeez.
That's the car I got my first win in.
Yeah, I opened up the folder this morning, and I was pretty sure there was a connection to Grandpa in there. So.
Yep. 1977 up in Hellock. Another car, one of several cars I picked up down in Iowa.
Yeah, it looked to me, I thought that was an Iowa car.
That's the car that really made me get serious about all of this stuff. I bought that car in 1974 from Kenny Walton, who went on to win the World 100 at Eldora.
Wow. What number 11?
Yep.
How did you come up with that number?
That was actually my hockey jersey number.
Oh, okay. Hey, there you go.
But that car was, I raced that car for 3 years and sold it to a good friend. It was a great car.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's kind of old school. That was pretty much home and hand built.
So what were the seats like in a car like that?
That car actually had kind of a composite plastic
Okay,
type
okay.
seat in it. It was a well-fitting seat for
Yep,
the day,
yep.
but certainly not the safety stuff that we have today.
Sure.
Same car 2 years later.
Oh, wow. You'd never know that.
No, we put the updated Nova body on it.
Okay,
and,
okay.
That was the change there.
Sure.
So, and that was the car that I had the year following that.
You know, I can sit and look at these pictures all damn day.
That car was the silver car the next year. That was
Okay.
1975. So
Now, how many years did you go by with number 11?
I switched in 1978.
Okay, so it's always either been 11 or T1.
No.
Oh.
No. My first car was 71. My second car was 11, and then the third number I went under was 09. And after that, I went to T1 in 1981.
Where did the 09 come from?
You know, it was just something different.
Yeah, sure.
So
Okay.
it's kind of a random thing.
Yeah, all right. Very interesting.
That's a 09. That car was built in Germantown, Wisconsin by an actual asphalt wizard, Dennis Frings. And it was one of about 4 dirt cars that he built at that time.
And you got one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, we've seen that one. God, I really like that car.
That's the Frings car the year after it was blue.
Oh, okay.
There again, bodies were changed and we updated it. And
So would they consider that like a Camaro or what? What was
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Camaro-based bodies.
Sure. Same car.
Yeah, there again, yeah.
Okay.
That's 1981. That's the original T1 car.
Wow. Look at that. Look at the spoiler on that thing.
That was the beginning of things to come.
Yeah, yeah, right. And I'm hoping that I think some of those pictures are on there because I really wanted to get at those.
What year did the Speedway start having late models at Grand Forks about?
Well, actually, what happened was there was an evolution of cars. Originally, the late model class would have been derived off the old Class C class,
Mm-hmm.
and then became semi-lates, and then morphed into late models.
Okay. That. Okay.
That's 1982 or 3, running down the backstretch at Warren, Minnesota.
Now, that's a lot of plexiglass on there, if that is what it is.
Yep. It was actually Lexan, yeah.
Okay, so when that all first came out, did it make a difference in the way the car drove, or was it just another expense and another pain in the ass to try to take care of?
Well, the guys who didn't think it did anything were pretty well sucking air for quite a few years.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Wow.
Looks like you got a couple people in the chat wondering about some of the pictures here.
Yeah, you forgot the 115 car, my favorite from Kevin Pappenfuss.
I haven't forgotten.
It's coming, guys.
Okay, and I also might as well go through these. Good morning from Superior Customs. Awesome to see Tom in the studio. One of the all-time greats is Corey Linton. Dave Rosendahl, cheater car. Travis Strandell, was there a 115 in there? That's coming. Good morning, Tom. Good to see you this morning from Todd. Brina Singh says hi. Tom Corcoran, always a great guest. Wealth of racing knowledge from Tim Schwantz. Good morning, everybody. There we go. The checkered flag. That's got to be all right.
That is 1984. There again at Warren.
Okay. Geez, I've only been to Warren like once or twice, and I forgot all about what it even looked like. It was so long back in the Don Jorstead days.
Yeah, we raced the half mile there for many years, and I think I probably won as many fair races at Warren as anyone.
Is that right?
So, yeah.
Wow.
1985 out here at the Grand Forks Speedway.
So, how long did you? Was it 3, 4, 5 years that they ran all the big spoiler stuff on there? Or
About 4 years.
about 4 years, and then what made them decide to say that's enough?
Well, UMP came into existence down in the Illinois area and stuff, and went back towards a much more stock appearing body.
Sure, and was that a good call? Do you think?
Well, no, I won a lot in these. I wasn't so
Yeah.
good after that for a while.
I was going to throw in there 15 of 18, I believe, in 85.
Yeah.
Just
Wow.
here.
Yeah.
So
Wow, Dave Rosenthal says that's the ultimate late model right there.
That actually was a Rick Auckland car before I got it.
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
bought it from Rick. I don't remember how we got the deal going, but I got it basically a bunch of parts and pieces, put it together, and it was good right from the get-go. I took it down to Bob Harris down in Estherville, Iowa at the time.
Sure, sure.
Bob now just builds modifieds.
Yep.
So
Wow.
Give me 1 sec here.
All right, looks like we might pull up a couple of more. And Dale, we can take a break too if you want, because I know we've got a bunch. But all right, we can do that and let him get rolling there. So, we talked about wins. Were you a title guy? Were you running for track titles, track championships? And I'm sure a few came in along the way, but I don't. Or you probably know, but were you one of those guys, or were you more like let's follow the money? Kind of an outlaw kind of guy.
yeah, I chased around a lot for a long time. Track titles, they were okay.
Yeah,
But
I mean
it
it's
wasn't what I was shooting for.
right. And do track titles pay the bills?
Well, no.
Right. I mean, it's cool to say, hey, I'm a track champion.
Absolutely.
I mean, we all got that pair for reasons more than we think, but it's kind of cool to be able to say that. But how many track championships do you have?
I think we tried to count that out one time and just assorted championships. That's track, mid-season,
Sure.
Labor Days, Memorial Days, that kind of thing. It's well over 30.
Wow.
So-
And see, I'd be the kind of guy that I'd know exactly how many I had. I mean, I would. That just kind of tells me about your character. It tells us about, it's like, it was cool and all, but not the, it wasn't, my whole world didn't revolve around a track championship or a championship.
No, I mean, it used to be important. I used to keep track of it all, and I just kind of gave up on keeping track of it. The one title I can tell you that I put a lot of effort into was back in 1975, chasing the old Northern Racing Circuit. You ran Grand Forks, Jamestown, Hallock, Minot was involved, and I won that title in '75. We did a lot of racing, you know, and then you go back to the Trican days, and the blue car that you showed earlier, I ran 68 nights with that car that summer.
Jeepers, 68 nights. So 1975, I was 10. How old are you?
I'm 70 years old.
Because it blows me away, because I'll be 60 in February. You're only 10 years. It's like, did you start racing when you were 9? Because, well, and the thing is I don't even know how many years I've been at River Cities. I really don't. Again, I'm going to blame some of that on the 80s. But to me, Tom, it's like you've never changed since the day I first met you. It just, I can close my eyes and I know what you look like, but it's like you don't age. What's the secret?
Well, good genetics.
Good genetics. Okay, and
I'd
drinking
like
lots of water.
Yeah, I'd like to say clean living, but that ship sailed. So.
Now, do dirt track racing and clean living, can that be said in the same sentence?
As you get older, it can.
Yeah, well, I suppose as you get older, it can. Wow.
I have a question. You're showing some of these pictures and going over just like the evolution into late models. I was kind of curious from all the years driving late models. Is there a single biggest change to the car over the years? Like when you're talking about a little earlier with the spoilers and all that, really stood out to you that you liked the most, like the single biggest change to the late model class?
Well, I of course enjoyed the wedge car days. I mean, that was probably my favorite period of time. The cars change yearly. I mean, it's just the evolution of things, and as these builders get more people out there, things change more and more. And you know, as I said before, shock technology in suspension is probably the biggest thing right now. So,
I mean, did that make it, instead of having to so-called wrestle a race car on a racetrack, they seem to drive a little better if you can figure that out?
well, what's really happened is you can buy everything. You don't have to.
Okay.
You don't have to learn
Yeah.
it. You don't have to build it.
You just switch it.
You don't necessarily have to have a lot of experience sometimes. If you get into the right deal and you've got the right setup, you can go pretty fast.
Is it easy to be a kid now and say you're going to start racing and they throw you right into a late model? Is that a good way to start, without learning, bringing in any bad habits or anything? Or what would you say? Because a lot of the kids are starting in karts. A lot of those guys are going, to open wheel or whatever. But there really is no way to get into dirt track racing into something like that. But we see people doing it all the time. My first car is going to be a late model, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, I mean it's out there. I guess the one thing that I've seen is these younger people come in, whether it be guys or girls, whatever, is there's not a lot of respect for the equipment anymore.
Sure. It depends on how moneyed up they are too. Yep.
This is an easy game if you're working on somebody else's dollar.
Sure it is.
You're a lot more aggressive. But I grew up in that era when if you were too aggressive, you probably got a fist in the mouth when you got
Absolutely.
back to the pits.
Yeah.
And I raced with some pretty hard-nosed guys that earned respect in a hurry.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever get a fist in the nose?
Well, I got pulled out of the car several times.
Did ya?
Yeah.
I can't wait till we have a beer again one time. I'd love to find some of this stuff out. Kim Young, wow, these old guys are still racing. Yes, they are. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a little bit of a break here. We got more picks coming up. We got more talking with Stephen Lewis and myself, along with our NLRA driver of the T1, Tom Corcoran's in the studio, and we'll be right back. Life doesn't ever seem to slow down. Everything needs to be done right now. Well, when it comes time for an oil change, stop into Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Most changes are done in about 15 minutes. Valvoline Instant Oil Change does more too. Tranny and coolant flushes, tire rotations, and batteries. And included in your oil change, they're going to top off your fluids, check your tires, battery, lights, wipers, and cabin air filter too. And you get discounts for fleets and the military. They can text and email invoices and coupons and mention Grand Forks Best Source and get $10 off your oil change. Valvoline Instant Oil Change. They're open Monday through Saturday with no appointment needed. Pickup and delivery is also available if you live in Grand Forks. And Valvoline Instant Oil Change is now hiring. If you'd like to join their team as an assistant manager, customer service rep, or lube tech, stop in to find out more. Valvoline Instant Oil Change. For a complete oil change and more, they're at 3325 South 38th Street, or call them 701-780-8462. And make sure you tell them Grand Forks Best Source sent you. All right, we are back on Dirty Thursday, brought to you by River City Speedway. Tom Corcoran, the driver, the T1 in the house, along with myself and Stephen Lewis. You're awfully quiet over there today, buddy.
We've had a lot going on.
I know. I know. You know, when I say that, you're awfully quiet over there. You really aren't a big talker either. I know you don't hear people say, well, that's not what he was yelling about in there. Anybody? Because let's face it, there's guys that are way more vocal in the pits or on the track and all that. But have you ever considered yourself one of those vocal guys, or do you kind of like to lay back in the weeds, and if somebody asks you, you're going to get an answer?
Oh, I've been that guy for a while. You know, I mean, it's there again, with age, that you mellow out a little bit on that stuff.
Sure. When you get mad now, do you just keep your mouth shut, or do you air out your grievances?
Oh, I've got no issues going down and grabbing a hold of somebody and just laying into them.
Yeah. You know, you were talking about people now. It's easy to not respect other people's money or you know, with equipment and things. You're not that guy. And I don't know if you were earlier in your career, but you stay out of people's way. You're going to be one of the first guys, if this track isn't what you want tonight, and if it's crazy and there's people wrecking all over, the T1 will probably, you just soon pull off and go park and go home. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. When everybody's out there being stupid, I have no time for it.
Yeah.
You know, I can honestly say that with all the races that I've won, I've never had to goon anybody to win them.
Sure.
You know, I mean, you're always going to have an occasional deal here and there. I don't care who you are. If you race for any amount of time, you're going to get into it with somebody else.
Absolutely.
And it's not so much the fact that you did, it's how you handle it afterwards.
Right. And you know, you always hear this, well, it's a racing thing. And I was told this a long time ago, when you start making excuses, say if you get into somebody else and it's your fault and you make up an excuse, it's not going to get you anywhere. If you go up to them and say, that was my bad, I messed up, I'm sorry about something like that, they're going to take that a little better. Is that right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're going to take a little abuse as far as
right.
Getting
Just the
hollered
fact
at,
that it happened.
But yeah, I mean, after it's done, it's done.
Okay. Brina says Tom's one of the cleanest racers I've ever watched, and I would agree with that.
I've always kind of figured if anything's kind of remembered past the next Monday, it wasn't handled right, whether whether you're on track or off of it or whatever. So, but yeah.
You know, we talked about, Dale had mentioned how racing has changed. Safety, I know, is a huge thing. You talk about shocks, but, culture is kind of weird, too. The racing culture, it seems like for some reason, and I'm sure social media has a lot to do with this, but it's way more easier for people to complain and whine and bitch now about things. And I'm probably just as guilty as a lot of people are, but have you seen the culture in the whole racing world change?
Oh, God, yes. Yeah, it certainly hasn't changed for the better. I mean, social media in general can be a huge killer.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it's easy to leave the racetrack at night pissed off at the world and make some stupid post on a social media site.
Which we see all the time.
And I try not to do that so much. You know, there again, I have done it.
Yep.
But you just you try to stay away from it. I mean, it's a hard enough thing to get people to go to the racetrack the way it is.
Sure. And now there's a difference between a race car driver airing his grievances or his complaints or whatever on social media compared to some Joe Blow fan. Especially with somebody with your experience, you usually know what you're talking about. A lot of these people, hiding behind their keyboard don't.
Oh, absolutely.
And that is what, in my opinion, causes so many problems, because these people just start spewing out this stuff and they don't know what they're talking about. And that just makes it bad for everything. Dave says, are you going to touch on the T1 in a sprint car? He was very impressive in the few races I've seen him in. You ran a sprint car?
Yeah.
How long? I didn't know that.
I had about half a dozen nights in the car that Kevin Jopp was driving at the time.
Oh, okay. Was that when he was healing up, or?
No, there was. I don't remember exactly what happened, but his brother Roger called me and asked if I wanted to try the sprint car.
Yeah.
And I had previously driven their late model at Owatonna during the Go for 50 one year.
Okay.
So I said, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I said, I don't have any expectations, but it took me a few nights to get acclimated, and the last night I ran second in a feature. So,
No shit. I did not know that. But you went right back to a late model.
Well, I'll
did
tell
you
you-
ever think about,
I'll tell you what happened was Kevin came back, and I was out of the car, and Kevin virtually came out and lapped the field, and I tell people I put my tail between my legs and went back to my end of the pits. So,
was it a big difference from the late model to the sprint car? I mean, I get it, size and all that kind of stuff, but was it different trying to put that horsepower to the ground compared to your late model?
no, I mean, there's no issue with the horsepower to the ground. You've got that wing on the top and
Yeah.
one on the nose, and it was just an adjustment. I mean, the feeling in a late model is totally different.
Yeah.
The sprint car at the time, and I don't know that they've changed a lot. When you went into the corner with your foot on the throttle, it laid over to the left because the wing was pushing it over. And,
Sure.
And you take today's late models, we're running off that right front.
Right.
So,
Wow. Was it a I don't know how I'd really put this. Did it scare you at all?
no,
Okay.
I mean, the speed is relative.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody thinks the speed is such a big thing, and it's all relative to what you're doing.
Was it any easier or harder to drive than a late model?
I felt that when I got used to it, it was maybe a tad bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably not the case anymore.
Okay.
And I think at the time, there again, the group of drivers I was racing against they'd all raced together a long time.
Sure.
And I think there was a pretty good amount of respect there. So, I mean, I was a new guy coming in, and
Yep.
I mean, it was all good.
And we see some of these new drivers come in and doing it the right way, and especially if they're their parents maybe drove. Flayton's a kid that I'm thinking about. Respect, and I know a lot of that comes from Ryan and Grandpa, and we see a lot more of that. But the people that probably weren't raised around it, do you think they have a little bit less respect when they're first coming in? I mean, you can't just put yourself into somebody's feelings and say, this is what this kid thinks.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, sometimes you get, whether it be parents or car owners or whatever, blowing smoke up your tail end, and you can get a little full of yourself at times and overdrive the crap out of things.
Sure.
And that catches up with you.
Do you think the younger generation, because we all know what kids think of guys like you, and they live for going into the pits at the end of the night, do you think these kids get it? If they were one of those kids, I guess they do, but not all of them were.
I think for the most part they do.
Okay.
I mean, it's a big deal that first time somebody comes up and asks you for a picture
heck
or an
yeah.
autograph. I mean, that's pretty flattering.
Wow. That and then to look at the kid's face, when maybe can I sit in their car or something like that, and you look at these kids' face, and it's just like that's just a picture you're never going to get out of your brain.
No, and it's funny. I don't think anybody ever starts doing this and worries about things like that until you're actually in that situation.
Right.
I never tried to measure my behavior with the fact that there were kids in the stands when I was younger.
Okay. Sure.
I'm a little better about that now.
But, I mean, because is this the right way to say it? But you're, a lot of you guys are role models. To some of these kids, and does a guy need that extra pressure? You're not, when you, like you said, when you started this thing, I didn't plan on being some kid's role model. I just wanted to go race cars.
Exactly.
All right. You think we should look? Okay. What?
Well, I think for the most part in the pit area, when you got that line of kids, I would say a good 99% of the time, most of our guys are pretty good about putting whatever happened tonight on the shelf for a minute, not showing it to the kids or whatever, and then go back to maybe being grumpy after that.
Right, because and you're absolutely right. Not too many times have I ever seen anybody turn their nose up at some kid.
No.
Who wants an autograph card or a hero card or a picture or anything like that. You want to look at some more pics?
Yep, I got some more.
Well, if you've had a bad night, I mean, it's best to just go sit at the corner of the trailer for a little bit until you get things back under control again, and then go back out.
Do you think there should be like a 24-hour rule? We get this brought up all the time, especially with hockey and kids sports and stuff. If you got a problem or a question, you know what? Take 24 hours, take a deep breath, maybe do a little research before you go start, accusing or yelling or complaining or whatever. But or just take that upon yourself to do that.
I want to go when it's fresh.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. John, you got your wish. You're going to have homemade corn dogs. Oh, my goodness. I'm happy. Just tuned in. T1, ready for another season? We're going to wait for that answer for a little bit here. Let's take a look at some more picks.
That's Mike Balkin and I.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
And I can't tell you how many of those pictures over the years you could have got.
Oh, by hundreds, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy for as long as Mike and I have raced together.
Jeez. And what a great guy, too. I do want to throw this in there while we're looking. Rosendahl says he's helped a lot of guys get going. He helped Troft Rubens get off the ground. Tom's an icon up here for what he's done for local late model racing. Absolutely.
That is a Pro chassis built by Bob Sagan and Rick Auckland down in Fargo.
Oh, no kidding.
That, I believe, is 1987 or 8, one of the two.
And where is that picture?
That's off the end of the racetrack out here.
Okay, I'm trying to figure it out, but those
1 and 2.
Okay, so those trees back there are no longer around.
No.
Okay.
That's before urban renewal.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's where you would drive off the track.
Yep.
And go into this. Okay.
Same car later that year. That is 1991.
Wow.
That's a car was my first bullet car that came out of Indiana, and I bought that car from Rodney Harris when he owned Performance Auto in Fargo.
How many different types of cars have you had? Different name brands or chassis, whatever?
Several, but not as many as you'd think.
Okay.
So that's the same car the next year, and that's a car that I'd like to see people pay a little bit of attention to.
Yeah.
Most of today's crowd out there has no clue about my cars in the past or anything like that.
Okay.
So
and what's
when you I guess what I'm getting at is some of these pictures you may see a throwback.
okay? Oh, sure.
I'm noticing a lot of these older on these.
Oh.
The sponsors you've had over the years. Is there a certain sponsor that really where you've had to do I don't know if it was like a meet and greet or like a special appearance for that really stood out for you throughout the time here?
We used to do a little of that. Not so much anymore. I was pretty consistent with sponsors throughout the years. In fact, the current sponsors I have are one almost 40 years.
Yeah, and we are going to talk about them because I've got it on here about some of your longtime sponsors have been with you for a long time. Jeff Lundaby says, I have this racing card still. The black one was awesome.
Yeah. Very successful car.
Yeah. Now, wagon wheel, is that like Middle River?
That's Middle River.
No kidding, the old wagon wheel.
Yep. If you knew the wagon wheel, you would remember Clayton Shea.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Clayton and I were two guys that through part of our racing career butted heads pretty hard.
Okay.
And Clayton was a hell of a driver, and he could be a little rough around the edges.
Sure.
But happened to stop in the wheel when Greenbush opened.
Okay.
And we got talking a little bit, and he decided that he wanted to give a little back to racing, and I was the guy.
Wow.
So,
lucky stop, good stop, fortunate stop.
oh, it used to be a weekly stop Saturday night coming
back then, do you ever remember the old, did you ever hit it out to the Meadowbrook Ballroom?
I'd been there before,
Yeah.
but not after racing. So,
Boy, Middle River, man, I used to spend a lot of time up there growing up. I used to farm up in that area, so I knew a lot of people around there.
that car, I believe, would be like 93,
Okay.
somewhere in there. 94, excuse me.
Wow, things just look so different.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the nose pieces and just the body shapes
Mm-hmm.
in general. That was that same car. I don't remember if that was later that year or if it was the following year.
Now, the bumper on that thing is it's kind of weird looking.
It was just a hoop, just to stop cars from getting back
From
up
going
into the
underneath them.
radiator.
Yeah, okay. That's a sharp car. I
Yeah,
really like that.
That was the first car that had D&B motors on it.
Oh, wow. Okay. And that
So-
started a long relationship.
Yeah, it sure did. So, funny thing is about the picture prior to this, with the black car. Somebody sent me a message earlier this year. Somebody got that side oversights weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was amazing. I still haven't traced it down to who had it or
Yeah.
who got it. Or,
Yeah. And so you don't know who has it now?
I don't know who had it prior.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
There we go.
yeah, that's the 115 car. I sold that last car to John Bittner, and I was going to quit, of course, and ended up driving down and picking this car up. This was another Rick Auckland car.
Okay.
So
What was the 115? What did that signify? Anything
that was
special?
a combination of my 11 and my dad's number 15.
Okay. Okay.
That's the 30th anniversary car.
30th anniversary car. Okay, we've got a picture of what the 50th up here.
Yep. Well, you've got. I think I've sent the probably 20th, 30th, 40th, and 50th.
Okay. Okay. I mean, on the wall here, I know we've got the gold one, but that again, your cars are always stand out. I mean, there's no laying in the weeds or just an average looking car for you. It seems like they're always something different, but they catch your eye.
You know, I was always fortunate that my good friend Roger Schernsky did the bulk of my lettering for many, many years.
Okay.
Most of these cars were hand lettered.
Yep. Yep.
You know, Roger was a wizard. He was always a guy who knew how something would look from the stands.
Okay. And that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, especially for sponsors. But, you know, and speaking about staying out of trouble, when everything is hand painted, hand lettered, you don't want to be replacing, you know, side panels and quarter panels all the time either, because you got to wait for somebody to paint them for you.
Yeah, there was some quick repaints
Yeah.
at times, but yeah,
You don't just pull out the rattle can and go.
no.
Another sharp looking car.
Yeah, that goes back to that other car that you showed earlier. So there's the 40th anniversary car.
That is really sharp looking. I like that. You see the 40 years on the front? That looks really cool.
Yeah, that was one of the cars that the guys at Custom Stripes did for me.
Okay.
So
And they've been doing your cars for a while now, haven't they?
yeah. I want to say since about 2007.
Okay. Okay. We're talking pushing 20 years.
That would be the first Custom Stripes car right there.
That's a really cool. I mean, again, it just jumps out at you.
Yeah. That would be about 2005 or 6. You know, and there's been very few guys that have actually done my graphics over the years. Roger, of course, is the guy who started. While he was going to college, Butch Anton in Fargo did my cars for a couple of years. They used to call him Super Frog. And then when Roger came back, he continued to do them. And then when he left that business, and Travis Cantwell down in Aberdeen did cars for me for a short period of time. And then I went to Custom Stripes.
Okay.
The Aberdeen guy, but that's still in paint or
No, that was
that
final.
Final.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll notice a lot of these pictures are taken in the same place,
Yeah. Yeah.
right in front of my garage.
Right.
So, you know, I have virtually operated out of the same garage for all but about 10 years.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, some of those on the you'll share the ones, the early ones, the 70s ones, or it looks like with the cars on the trailer on the street there or
front
whatever.
yard.
It looks like a similar.
It's the same place.
Is it the same
It
place?
is. Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Yeah.
Corey says the 30th, 40th, and 50th right side doors are on the wall at Superior Customs. Oh, that'd be cool. I'm going to have to go check that place out one of these
It's
days.
among Mike's, the coolest stuff in Mike's collection.
Oh,
for
I
sure.
bet. I bet you it's a pretty good collection, too.
A lot of those are also in the ceiling at Bruce Hart's shop.
Oh, yeah. What's going on with the shop out there anyway? I see action
Well,
there once in a
Joey
while.
owns a building, and he's got it leased out to some guys. And
Okay, who owns it?
Joey Peterson
Okay,
does.
I didn't know that. Okay. Well, good. I mean, it's still being used.
Nice to have it. Nice to
Yeah.
keep it in,
Right.
the racing family for sure.
That was second year with the Warrior car that I had. That was kind of a oddball deal. I wanted something different, and I got it, and it wasn't a great deal.
Now,
So,
does that happen more than once, more than often? You hear something, or you want to change, and you get it, and you just go, wow, that's one step forward and 5 steps back?
well, yeah, it was kind of a step backwards, and it wasn't necessarily because of the brand of chassis. Things were changing at the time, and I'm not so sure that the car wasn't a little tweaked when I got it.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
just didn't figure it out.
Sure,
So,
sure. And we hear that all the time. Guys get cars and they can't figure them out, and then sometimes they'll just go back to their old car and start winning again. But
yeah.
it just, they might not suit your driving style. Like you said, they might be tweaked and you don't know about it.
That picture, I believe, was taken. That was during one of the World Outlaw shows, sprint car shows that year.
Okay, because is
And,
that the 40 year?
Yep, that's a 40-year car, and if I could see the car in front of it, I chased Brad that night, and we ran 1-2 that night.
Okay, yeah, you can barely see the ass end of the car up on the top there.
But that was one of those nights where the track was never left.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Do you like that? Do you prefer that?
I kind of prefer the track to be a couple of good grooves.
Yeah.
One up, one down, kind of slicked off in the center.
Yeah, and
I think the racing is better that way. I think that's something we sadly lack
yeah.
the last several years.
Would you prefer a track where it's just hammer down the whole time, full throttle, never lift off, or make it where you have to actually drive your car?
Yeah, I'd rather have some finesse involved.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't care for the absolute hammer down. First and foremost, it's too expensive.
Yeah, right. And it's funny. I'll compare this to NASCAR because you see some of the people that have won races, that would never win anything but maybe Daytona or Talladega because there's a lot of luck involved. Stay out of the wrecks, keep her to the floor, and you might win a race. There's a lot of guys like that that won the Daytona 500 and never came close to winning another race again. But there's really not a lot of skill, involved in that. Staying out of trouble and crossing your fingers basically is it. But I get that. You hear race car drivers say, and I know going back to NASCAR again, Dale Earnhardt used to just scoff at this quote. The track was too fast. He was just like, well, then maybe you should go home, son, but something like that.
Yeah.
But that is the truth. There can be tracks that can they be too fast?
Oh, absolutely. Believe me, there's nights that there's more track than there is talent. Mm-hmm. And that's usually those nights.
Okay.
I can just refer to look at every time the World Outlaw sprint cars are here. The late model races that night, 3/4 of the cars come back into the pits cabbaged.
Sure.
Because guys can drive over their head because, it's sticky enough. You're not going to spin
Yeah.
out.
And there's 6,500 people in the stands.
Yeah,
and let's just go.
a lot of it's sheer stupidity on drivers' parts.
Right.
The one thing I'll say about the picture there is the fact that goes back to the days when they probably didn't touch the track throughout the night. The track was ready to race on.
Okay.
There wasn't a tractor and water truck parade each
Okay.
and every night.
Okay.
And that's not the fault of the guys doing it today.
Sure.
I'll say that much.
Okay.
But I think that the racing, there was a reason the fans were there back in those days.
Yep.
And we've lost some of that.
Sure.
So
Yeah, and until you put your butt into a car and race for a year or two, we don't know.
No.
I mean, the fans don't know. You just assume it's part of racing. Dwight says, many years helping that man, good times. 40-year car was a beauty.
I have a follow-up from what you just mentioned there, from all the changes at River Cities or Grand Forks Raceway from over the years. Is there a certain change that you thought you really appreciated the most, and a change that you missed, something that you wish could come back from over the years?
Oh.
I'm not. The track is shaped better now than it was for all those years where it had that ungodly high berm up on the top.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
When they took it down a few feet, I think the racing got better. Mm-hmm. I think the racing could get better by taking it down some more.
Sure.
And sometimes I think going back in time, the old black dirt may have been a little more conducive to better racing at times.
You think so? Okay. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Yep.
Heather says Nolan's goal is always kind of like what you said, a line on the top and the line on the bottom, slick in the middle. Unfortunately, weather plays its hand in track prep, and I get that. And speaking of Nolan Olmsted, did you hear he's an author now?
Yes, I
Yeah,
saw
how about
yep.
that? The Devils of Dirt Track Racing. I'm going to have to definitely get my hands on a copy of that.
Is there anything from the 70s to today that translates at all? Whether it's like coming off a 4 and having the wall, the wall's a lot shorter now than it used to be because of all the dirt. But are there any places on the track where you run it even remotely the same or
No.
similar at all?
No, it ain't nothing that's
It's
the
kind of
same.
night and day
The
different.
other thing too is coming off a 4. I mean that corner comes off camber coming off the turn because of the entrance to the track. And I'll tell you, you can tear a lot of stuff up if you're up there too high.
That's yes, and we've seen that how many times. Do you prefer a track that's got a wall all the way around it, or do you like the River City Speedway one where if you slide off, you're just going to slide off?
I don't particularly care for a wall all the way on the outside. The inside doesn't bother me.
Sure.
But yeah, you've got to have a place to escape.
Right. It's funny though, and especially we've seen how many cars launch off a 3, or between 3 and 4. But you figure if you're going to launch off, like who was the late model that did that a couple of years ago?
Travis.
That's right. So how high is the top of that bank on 3 and 4 there when you're looking down off the back? It's got to be 30 feet, 25 feet high, probably.
Somewhere in that neighborhood,
Yeah,
right?
it has to be somewhere in that vicinity.
Okay, so then you launch up.
Yeah.
And I remember Dobmeyer, I've seen him do it. Mitch Mack, another one. But how high up do you think those guys are off the ground? They got to be 40 plus feet.
Good 40 or 50,
yeah.
right?
And then slamming down on the
easily.
ground?
Yeah.
Yeah, usually when a sprint car goes off like that, it's upside down. Whereas the Travis Robertson incident that night, I've never seen a car that seemed to continue to gain altitude. As
Yeah,
it
it was like an
went.
airplane
it just
taking off.
continued to go up until it didn't. So
Jeez. All
But
the 50 years.
It's
Yeah.
one of those things when a sprint car goes off or whatever, you lose sight of them if you're in the infield and you're just like, don't hit cage first,
Right.
because that is such a drop. And,
Yeah. And you speaking of drops, again, I'm going to throw Dobmeyer in there, the wreck where he broke his back. One of them that doesn't look bad at all. But coming down flat, nobody's back is made for that. I don't think all the safety equipment in the world is going to save your
his
back in
outlaw
something
wreck
like
here
that.
looked way worse than the one in Cedar Lake. It's just
absolutely.
a matter of where you hit and when you hit and all that.
And
So,
again, NASCAR, Dale Earnhardt, same thing. To me, that looked like he bumped the wall. And apparently that inside of that car was not good. I think Kenny Schrader was one of the first ones on scene, and I would not have wanted to be that guy. Are there any left, or did we get them all?
we just a couple more.
Okay.
that's the Warrior car the first year I had it.
That's a neat looking car
that
there,
was,
too.
that was, I think, 2008 or 9, I believe, there. So that was D&B Motors' 25th anniversary.
Wow. The thing is, too, Tom, with your changes year to year, there's no subtleness in your changes. They're usually all or nothing except for the sponsors. But, I mean, your
Right.
colors, your designs, everything, it's to the point, and I love the beginning of the year. It's hard on me at first because you get used to a car when you're calling races, and they're all different at the beginning of the year. But I used to always look forward to the beginning of the year because you're one of the main reasons, because your cars always change so much, and I just love that. Makes people think a little bit,
Well, it does. I've always been pretty partial to black race cars. I love black race cars. In fact, the first T1 car in 1981, it was by design. It was black, and it had a letter and a number. Because both of those were frowned upon.
Okay. Oh, sure. So you're one of those guys making waves right off the bat. Laurel says, Tom is one of my favorite guests that you bring on your show. I could listen to him talk racing for hours. Kim says it's a scary drop-off. Yeah, it's just a scary drop-off. All right, let's see what else we got here. See, I like how you splash that green. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's a Warrior car.
Dave's saying, show the blue car.
I think it's coming up.
Okay, now that's the 50.
Yep. There again, the Warrior car, second year I had it.
There it is.
Yeah.
Look at that. See, I think that is sharp.
That was something that Jeff at Custom Stripes came up with.
Really?
And in fact, both those cars, the 40th or the 50th and that That was the following year here. So
Now the 50th, the gold car, way different for you. I know when I first saw it, I'm like, wow, that is so not like you.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, that car turned a lot of heads.
yeah, it did. I mean, there again, they did a nice job on it. You know, sometimes they'll come back with a design, and I kind of look at it and,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Needs to grow on me a little bit. Or?
Yeah, and the other thing about the 50th anniversary car, a lot of that lettering was retro style stuff.
Sure, sure.
So, I mean, it was the old style Chevrolet logo. You know,
The old school.
right?
Yep. Casey Corcoran Peterson, he's been my favorite race car driver for 40 plus years.
Now, the one before that, the blue car, I think that was your first win of the 2020s.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
whether that be
that was the one that made 6 decades.
6 decades,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
That's 2013. That was the year that I was inducted in the Hall of Fame.
I really like this. This one was such an extreme change because the Warrior car had been black.
Yeah,
So
that car came out of Missouri. I bought it from a guy, and it was kind of a box of parts deal too. But it had a brand new white body on it, and I wasn't going to throw it away.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Got to use it. I mean, you know, the stuff's not free.
No, so that's what the boys at Custom Stripes came up with at the time.
Again, looks good.
That is the evening of my first late model win in 1974.
And where is that?
That is at Jamestown, and that is my Uncle Larry alongside me.
No kidding. So you beat him for the win.
No, that probably had to be a heat race picture.
Okay, okay.
But yeah,
Wow, for neat.
Mike and I were lucky to find this in a box of stuff last year. It was just like reading the article afterwards. It's like there's no way we have that. That's nuts, but it's a really cool picture.
Boy, I tell you what, between both of you guys, these pictures are incredible. Yeah, that's a good action shot there.
there again, that's race car number 2.
Now, what was that car?
61 Plymouth, 2-door hardtop.
Was that a Plymouth what? Were they like a
Fury.
Belvedere or something? A Fury.
Yeah.
That looks very similar to my first demo car. It had a 6-cylinder in it. And the thing is the car was so trashed when I got done with it. So I just basically sold it to Holton. You know, they were the junk dealers back then in Thief River. And back then, the Pennington County Fair and Demolition Derby was like winning the Indy 500, you know, around there. And that car, it was so hot, we couldn't get it to shut off. It was dieseling. We pulled all the plug wires. And finally, we're throwing towels and rags in the fan to get it to shut off. And if we finally got it killed, so we left it in the pits. I took batteries, whatever I could out of there, and the junk guy was going to come and get it. Here I find out at about 3 o'clock in the morning, the fire department got called. My car started on fire like 3 hours after everybody had left the pits. It started on
That
fire.
sounds so similar to the Rick Eshelman story.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
When his
yep.
car burned down in the Enduro. So
This car was also push button automatic.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Square steering wheel. So
You know, I had a car with a push button automatic. I wonder if it was the same one. Wow, that is something. So we go from way back then to now, and this was so cool because we can go through all this history. Normally on a race show like this, I'm guessing this kind of history, we'd probably be talking to 4 or 5 different drivers. But to have all this with one guy, and he's still sitting there, and he still has a race car. See, this is the kind of crap that just blows me away. I mean, I absolutely love this. You know, all the good names I call you, it's all true.
with all of this stuff, we could probably go a couple of shows through it.
Oh, I know.
Seriously, I mean, this picture, for example, was taken at Ada.
Okay. Oh, there we go. That's a great shot.
That's during the Stampede in Jamestown in 74.
Are those like trees or is that dirt or?
There's trees in the background there.
Okay, so
But the 94 car, that's Dwayne Anderson in the lead there.
holy.
And then myself, and then I believe it was Dennis Fike driving the 99 car.
So I wonder who that is spitting out in the back.
So, and like I say, that's about the time that the cars were really starting to change. I mean, you were going down and buying cars from somebody rather than building them.
Building up in your
driveway.
out. Right. That is another really good picture.
2016.
Wow.
That's 1975.
Look at that. Can you get that any closer? You know, except for the hair, you haven't changed hardly at all.
Yep. Well, that ship sailed too. So.
Yeah. Heather says we need to bring back the shop party. Yeah. Should have Kevin Job come with Tom next time. That would be pretty cool.
2017.
See, and again, they're so different when you make a change.
The following year in 18, all I did was painted the roof black is all I basically did, but it made the car look different.
Yeah, it makes them look way different.
That would have been out here in 95 or 6.
Wow.
There's that 2018 car where just the black roof.
That is this was cool when I saw this. The inside track.
Is that the first official newsletter? First official newsletter for River Cities or in the Grand Forks or North Dakota track?
No, that was a weekly publication back in those days.
Oh, okay.
So I look back at that cover now, and I really enjoy it just because Dave Scarry's on it.
His mic quit.
Yeah, I just noticed that. Try those dials there. And,
Let's try this one.
There you go.
Can you reach that one, or that's gonna be
Oh, I think we can.
there? Cheapers.
Okay.
No, no problem.
You might have to adjust that camera just a little
Yep.
bit, Dale. Okay.
There again, 2020.
And we can see now, you can tell by the billboards in the back that we're getting closer and closer to today. Kaylee Elizabeth wants to know, Tom, did your kids have any interest in racing?
Well, of course, my oldest Casey was actually involved in NLRA after I left office there,
Okay.
and she married a fellow in Alexandria that raced cars.
Oh, okay. Okay, so she's the one down in Alexandria. Okay.
Yep. So my daughter Carrie could kind of take or leave it. I mean,
Sure.
she was always good about it, but it wasn't her thing as much.
Heather says, Tom, did you race Can-Do or the older DL racetrack across the airport?
I raced at Can-Do one time, not the Devil's Lake track.
Okay.
That's 2021.
Yeah, I just love your designs. The color schemes are that T1 it just stands out, you know?
My original, some of my favorite T1 numbers have been the fluorescent orange ones. So,
And I tell you what, how a car is numbered and lettered makes a big difference for guys like me up in the booth.
oh, sure.
You know, I mean, we're lucky. We have got, I've got computer timing and everything, so I don't even have to watch the race if everything is working right. But that's no fun. It's no fun calling play-by-play at a computer screen. I don't want to just see numbers and names. I want to watch it, and to be able to see the numbers and the lettering makes it much better. I mean this respectfully, but for an older guy, he's always one of the nicest, most flashy cars. Very cool. Hope he keeps racing. Looks darn good for being a young 70. That's Chuck. Corey Inside Track was great. Basically the original All the Dirt for racing in the early 70s and 90s. Man, I remember All the Dirt. Respectively, but for an older guy. There you go.
Well, hey, I'll take it. You know, and prior to Inside Track, there was another publication called Northern Racing Review.
Oh, okay.
So
And knowing you two guys, you probably have a bunch of copies laying around.
I had a bunch of stuff, yeah. In
Okay.
fact, Ryan has digitized the bulk of it that I had. So
Kaylee Elizabeth just added, Kenna's next goal is a late model. So if you're ever looking for fill in one night, just saying. There you go, National Rookie of the Year with the Wasota Midwest Mods.
Yep.
There we go.
I believe that was 1984, and that's in the pits out here.
Wow.
That tells you how much the pits have changed. I mean, look at the trees along the fence.
And look at that classic station wagon in the
Yeah.
back. You know, that was when everybody had an open trailer and none of this stuff now that's you can live in.
Well, yeah. You know, it's give and take. So,
I mean, I can see if you're going across the country all the time, you're going to want to holler like that and, you know, all that stuff.
Oh,
but
Do you think that's hurt interest at all? Having not very many open trailers, that's kind of like free advertising on a Friday. Like,
I
you
don't
know,
necessarily think so.
don't think so?
It you know, there's some of it, I believe, but
Yeah.
for the most part, no. I mean, you know, these enclosed trailers, I mean, they're a convenience. And
Yeah.
They're a security issue, and
sure.
it's good to have them that way. So, I was going to say the station wagon that was in the background there probably could have been the ambulance back then.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
You know, Uncle Jim had several ambulances that were just basically country squire wagons.
Oh, sure. Got the wood grain going down the side. And Outstanding how he remembers these cars and the dates and locations of all the photos. Well done. Yeah, but it's funny because all the good and the bad that have happened to me in my life, Tom and Steve, I've always said I wouldn't change anything. Even the year I spent in bed and from an accident and stuff, the only thing I would have changed is I would have taken more pictures. And that is something, but I don't know if I'd remember them. I would have to write on every single one of them. But, a lot of times they say the memory and the reflexes are the first to go, but I don't think so. Not with you anyway.
To some degree.
To some degree, yeah.
It's so much easier these days because you've always got a camera on you.
Right.
Back
Right.
then, way different. So.
And you know what? These cell phones could take pretty good pictures, too.
The other thing I was going to say, that last black and white picture, that would probably have been the last time I ever wore any of my own merch.
Really?
So,
You're one of those guys, you always wear everybody else's stuff?
well, usually it's series stuff or it's manufacturer
Oh, sure,
stuff.
sure.
I can't say I have a lot of anybody else's driving stuff. So,
It's like Dobmeyer's kid. He's always wearing Croker stuff. See, again, now, major color changes. I just love these cars.
that would have been the first, what they called a semi-late at the time.
Okay.
And I was actually working, that's a gas station in front of the racetrack,
Oh, sure. Oh, wow, yeah.
which has been a car dealership on and off for
For
40
since I
years.
can remember, yeah.
But yeah, and it was North Star Gas. So,
And you were working there.
yep.
So you can see the arches in the back, so that's looking north, apparently.
And if you want to
Oh,
talk about silly, I sold my 1936 Ford pickup to get money to buy that car.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you drive the 36? Was that your driver car or
Yeah,
what?
I drove that car. I drove that pickup through high school and a couple years after.
Jeepers. Wow. 36.
Yep. It was actually a pickup that my dad had. So
Man.
that is 1978, and that is West Fargo, the first annual Mike Swangler Memorial.
Jeez. These pictures are, I tell you what, you two guys you knocked it out of the park with these pics. This is, I haven't had this much fun on a show for a while. Just going through this stuff. Still going strong, Tom Corcoran.
Yeah, that's an article that Ray Bestie wrote about me for Dirt Late Model Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And I went up to Langdon to get a new pickup that we'd talked about, and got all done doing the business side of things. And Danny Roy come out and handed me that plaque.
Oh, wow, for cool. That had to have been a nice surprise, huh?
Oh, you bet. And I've had several things like that. I
Yep.
mean, to go in 2019 down to Lisbon to Cheyenne Speedway down there and have the guys come out and give me a 50th anniversary plaque.
Jeez.
Gordy Lam or Jerry Lamb and myself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now, something like that, is that hanging in your house?
well, right now it's kind of sitting on the floor in the house.
Okay,
yeah,
but it's you can
yeah,
see it.
yeah.
Okay, I had asked a guy on a show yesterday about his national championship ring for hockey.
Yep.
And he goes, "That's in a safe somewhere in my house." He goes, "I think I've worn it one time because it's like wearing a watch on your finger, But racing is for people who love work and hate money. Isn't that the truth?
God's honest truth.
And people they see what's out there on a Friday night or a Saturday night. They don't see all the work and everything. We had mentioned it. I didn't realize we're this deep into the show, and I know we got more shows coming up. But Tom, you mentioned most of your sponsors have been with you for a long time. Let's give them a shout out.
Well, longest term, of course, DB Motors up at Langdon. Even after Danny passed away in 21, his daughter and son-in-law came forward, and they've continued with me.
Yeah.
Shane Romling's been on my car for many years.
Yep.
You can't beat him.
No.
So, of course, I had Bruce Hart for many years. Tough one to lose.
It's been a tough year. Been a tough couple of years.
Oh yeah, certainly. You go back and it kind of started with Bruce and then Donnie Mack and
Yep.
then of course when Julie Peterson passed away
Yes.
and Nick Minsky.
Nick Minsky and it just
a lot of racing related people that a lot of people wouldn't recognize the names.
Right. All I know is I don't want any more moments of silence.
No.
At the racetrack. We've had too many of them in the last couple of years, and we know it's part of life, and it's not a fun part of life, but it's no fun, and we still miss them. I mean, I didn't know Bruce and some of these guys like you did, but I mean, just getting to know Bruce towards the end there, the last 10, 15 years, going out to the shop parties and things like that, I was one of those guys thinking, man, why didn't I get in on this? Because I'd been invited before, but why didn't I start doing this earlier? I always had something else going on, and it got to the point where, well, no, this is more important now, and even if I can only go for a half hour, I would learn so much going to those little gatherings from some of the old timers, if you will, that were there. And it makes you really think back about how all of this started, and it makes you think more about the things you tend to forget about.
Yeah, it does. You know, it's for me, first Bruce and then Jeff.
Yeah.
Two guys I talk to probably daily.
Right.
So it's a huge change.
Yeah, man, and we miss them. We miss them all. Steven, anything you got to add?
Well, the one thing about the photos I was wondering, selfishly, is that I think I got to the point where I got most of them. Is there any like the first one we don't have, but felt like we got most of them on there.
Yeah, I think anything that was important is pretty well covered.
Yeah.
So.
And between your picks and I don't know who gets the credit for your picks.
So Mike and I.
Okay.
Kind of a combination. A lot of those are ones that he has acquired over the years from various sources that we've scanned and things like that. So
Okay, and thank you for the picks. The Canadians are tuned in. Good morning, John and everyone. Excellent picks and stories. Great to see older guys still racing. Always great to see Tom on the tracks. Cheers, boys. Stay well. We will. Can't wait to see the Canadians. Can't wait to get this thing going again. Can't wait to get you back on the show again. And I'm afraid the next time we get you on is going to be a farewell show. So I shouldn't have even said that. But
Well, that's probably true.
well, I'm not going to invite you back until you make up your mind. But you are a pleasure to have on here. You've been on the show a lot now. And, you know, we've been trying to bang heads here thinking about who we need to get on the show. And I've been thinking about you ever since the banquet. And I'm glad you made it in here today. Man, it's been a pleasure for me getting to call your races. It's been a pleasure for me as before being an announcer, just getting to watch you race. And you've brought a lot to my life. So thank you.
Well, always happy to be here.
Steven, thanks, bud.
thank you.
Again, Gateway Dirt Nationals on this weekend. I'm going to be watching them out at the shop party that we've got going. That I'm going to go check out anyway. I heard it's going to be on TV. You guys, thank you very much for coming in. I want to thank Rumors Sports Bar Casino for being a host here, or a sponsor on Dirty Thursday. You know, BT and Rumors, they have been with us forever. In fact, jump on their fan bus if you want to go see Hairball at the Alaris Center tomorrow night. They're supposed to be bigger and better than ever. Look at that. Dale's even got some of the food specials going on there right now. Today, sandwich and a side for just $7. Go play some bingo. That's probably just got started. Have yourself a couple of cool ones. They are open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Also, he's got that big party coming up, and we'll be talking about that in the next few weeks. But you want to go see Hairball, go to Rumors first. Get your beer when you get back. Have a great day, everybody. Make sure to catch big screens and TV streams at 1 o'clock today. Don't miss the Brew Brothers podcast tonight at 9. Remember to like, share, tag, and follow us. Hit that notification bell on your smartphone. We know the Forks rock. Grand Forks Best Source is giving the Forks their identity back.